Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Hot off the presses, it's Mallett and Michelle. I'm Michelle, the opinion and gossip page everyone reads first. And here's Steve, between the classifieds and the op-ed. Together, we're a front page story you didn't know you needed or even wanted.
Wow, that's a great segue to our guest today, John Garrett, who's the CEO and founder of the Community Impact newspaper.
Woo!
Yeah, I think everybody loves that newspaper. Comes in your mailbox, once a month?
For
it's a great
free.
Newspaper. For free.
You
yes.
get it for free. When do you ever get anything for free
That's
anymore?
True. And there's some good coupons in the back, too.
Some coupons?
Yeah, coupons.
I got some coupons. Hey, we need to thank our sponsors, Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room.
Where the vibe is dripping and the theme is relax and have fun.
Jovi Belterra.
Growing older and living bolder right here in Dripping Springs.
Growing older and living bolder. Eek! South Star Bank.
Helping you live your financial dreams one transaction at a time.
And the greatest real estate team in Dripping Springs, Mallett Integrity Team.
Skip the noise. Choose the agent who's chasing your best interests, not algorithms.
And who has a crazy cuckoo operations manager.
Yes, we do. But yeah, there's so much crap going on about real estate right now on social media, and for the most part, we've tried to stay above that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we try. So, Steve, have you been feeling a little off the last couple of days?
I'm always a little off, but yeah, maybe a little more than normal.
Have you just been feeling a little something going on? Have you ever heard of the Schumann Resonance? Have you ever heard of that?
I have not ever heard of that.
So it's an electromagnetic frequency of the Earth. In 1952, it was discovered by a German physicist, Winfried Otto Schumann, and he was the first to predict the existence of these resonances in the Earth's atmosphere. It's often called the planet's heartbeat. Have you ever heard of that before?
I have not ever heard of that before.
Frequency is linked to brain waves, relaxation, intuition, and even a deep state of meditation. And it can affect your mood overall. And when it fluctuates, it can influence your sleep patterns, your moods, your emotions, energy levels, and spiritual experiences. Now,
the Earth is a giant mood ring is what I'm hearing.
Basically, when the resonance is higher, like it is now, or like it has been, it causes, or people believe it has caused increased intuition, vivid dreams, feeling ungrounded or restless, physical symptoms like headaches or fatigue, kind of like what I was feeling last week, sudden burst of energy like Michelle on coffee, or emotional shifts. Some believe that it indicates a shift in human consciousness. Consciousness. So you can't hear it, but you can feel the vibrations of the Earth, okay? So how do we align it? How do you think you align it? You need to spend time in nature. You need to take your shoes off.
I have heard of this.
You're grounding.
I have tried this, and it doesn't work for me.
Well, 7.83 is the baseline for this Schumann resonance, and spikes have been hitting as high as 30 hertz or 40 hertz or even higher. But again, like they say, take your shoes off in grass, reduce exposure to artificial electromagnetic frequencies like what we are doing right now.
Yeah,
EMF.
we're surrounded by equipment. We got electronic watches on and cell phones and headphones. Yeah, we're reducing that.
You can hug a tree.
Okay.
Touching your forehead to the ground. I don't know why that works.
Chiggers.
It sounds chiggers. Proponents of the spiritual significance of the Schumann frequency claim that it serves as a bridge between human consciousness and the broader consciousness of the Earth and the cosmos. I don't have my tinfoil hat right now.
Wow, we went down a very deep rabbit hole here.
People have been saying that there's something to this because the spike, I'm going to share this tab. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch this. So the spike, the white is what they're talking about.
Okay.
don't ask me what all of this other mumbo jumbo is. The solar X-ray flux, the solar proton flux.
Michelle, it's science.
It's science. So some say, just to kind of really, really dumb it down, the green color is the collective consciousness, humanity, stable energy. The red is blocked or dark energy.
Okay.
The yellow is healing and transformation within the collective. The white is divine light or Christ consciousness. And the blue is the calm, right? So that's kind of right there. But we've been seeing, this is what is going on right now. As of today, this is what it looks like right now. So when they're saying that they're seeing a lot of white in this Schumann resonance, people are experiencing that it's almost like a spiritual awakening is what they're feeling. But I think it sounds like Mother Nature has been getting louder and louder. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we need to listen to her a little bit.
Maybe we do. You know what has kind of upset me emotionally lately? Do you remember AOL.com?
Oh, yeah, I do remember AOL.
Here's a sound from the past for some of you that have been online for most of your lives. Remember this? That sound?
Oh, my gosh. That is the opposite of whatever story I just gave you.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So AOL.com, which at one time was the largest internet company in the entire world, has shut down and is no longer in existence. It shut down last month. Its dial-up internet service. September 30th is the last time you'll be able to log in and onto dial-up. There are currently 163,000 people still using AOL internet dial-up. And as of September, I don't know, but 1% of households are still using it. And the AOL was made famous by the movie You've Got Mail. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And it started with that.
That was Tom Hanks.
Yes.
And Meg Ryan.
This noise right here. Yeah. So it takes you right back to whatever that was, 1997.
So I hated it because you couldn't be on the phone, even though if you had, because I was fancy and I had call waiting, you couldn't be on the phone while that was going on.
It was like a brave new world. I remember, wow, you could check the news like right now, and people could send me an electronic message like it came through my mail, but it's instantaneous. It's amazing.
When I first worked for Motorola, they had interoffice mail, like email or text messaging, and it was the craziest. Well, when I first got there, of course, all the engineers were on beepers, and they introduced Motorola. They introduced this kind of like typewriter where you could send messages on the beeper, and I had a lot of fun with the engineers with that. And then they went to the interoffice mail, which was really cool.
Yeah. So technology's come a long way. So this AOL dial-up going away. I think it's still going to be a website. So is
AOL.com, is that and people that still have the AOL.com,
I think you can still go
Yahoo,
to AOL.com,
but
I don't think there'll really be anything there. It's not really a very popular site. But this follows the death of Skype this past May, which was the very first FaceTime type.
Skype is gone?
Skype is gone as of May this year.
No.
You remember that? You could get on Skype. 20 years ago, you could get on Skype and talk with somebody 15,000 miles away, just like they were sitting right next to you.
That was our first FaceTime, because when Todd used to travel all the time, we would Skype all the time, and the kids wanted to see Daddy, and so we would Skype. Yeah, well, the technology on Skype didn't really keep up, and FaceTime and Zoom and all these other things took it over. But following up on that sort of technology, do you ever get spam texts, spam calls on your cell phone? Like it's been awful.
It's been as
awful.
bad as it's ever been, right? You know how sometimes when somebody texts you and says, "Hi, I work with health insurance providers. Can I send you a free quote?" And when you go to hit delete, your iPhone will give you the option to delete and report junk. Do you know what that does?
What? It tells them that you're a real thing.
It does nothing.
Oh, really?
It makes you feel better that you've done something.
So what about the registry, the do not call?
No, it doesn't do that. The only thing that happens when you do that is that Apple will report that was reported as junk to the carrier that you have, and then the carrier really doesn't do. So if you're on AT&T, the carrier does nothing with that. It doesn't block the number. It doesn't. They can continue unless you physically block the number on your phone. They can continue to send you these.
So what
junk
about when you hit
messages.
unsubscribe? You know, that little button.
That's an email. So sometimes that works. If they're not a legitimate company, they're probably not going to pay any attention to that. And what I've noticed, even legitimate companies, you unsubscribe, and then 6 months later, out of the blue, you just start getting emails from them again. They just continue to use your. But it's getting really out of hand. I'm thinking at this point, probably 7 out of the 10 phone calls I get are spam. And probably 50% of the texts I get are spam.
Oh, well.
It's getting really out of control. I don't know why. So right now in our world, you can have a computer drive a car without a person in it, but AT&T can't figure out how to stop somebody in whatever Bangladesh from calling me and offering to get me to be number one in my Google search.
Well,
if I send them $1,000,
go to donotcall.gov.
I don't think that works. I don't think anybody pays attention to that. I think occasionally somebody will get called by somebody that's on the do not call registry will get called by somebody, and they'll say, I'm on the do not call, and that company will continue to call them, and then they threaten them, but nothing ever happens with that. So I think there's gonna be some legislation that comes to clamp down on this, because it's getting to where the technology that we have is almost becoming unusable because of the infiltration of spam and junk texts and things that are just taking us away. It's a productivity tool. But if you spend half your time on your day getting calls from people that are trying to sell you things, that's not very productive.
No, and also as a real estate agent, you want to answer the calls that you don't necessarily, because it could be, somebody that wants to call you up.
And I do, but like I said, very often it's, hey, you know what? I noticed your website is not number one in the Google search. I can help you become the number one Google, blah, 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 blah.
Google booble.
It's only $500 a month. Oh, yeah, okay. Or, hey, we can put your name in the best agents in the country listing. Oh, yeah, sign me up. It's only $69. Like, okay, thank you. I used to be kind of polite, because I think it's always nice to be polite to people.
Not since I've worked for you.
No, I've kind of given up on it. It's like, as soon as they start that spiel, I just hang up on them. I'm sorry. I try, but, it's hard.
I've talked about this before, but I like when you've told them before that you've had like a week to live.
Yeah, I've done that.
That's my favorite.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sign up for any new services. I've been diagnosed with cancer, and I'm going to be dead by next week.
I saw one where they gave their toddler the phone for a spam, and they kept saying, do you have a bank account? Yeah. And then they kept asking, and the baby just kept going, yeah. And it was pretty funny. It's like the new spam deterrent is just give your phone to a toddler.
I've heard people do whistles. They just blow a whistle into it.
Tay used to love
they
to
just
mess
move
with them.
on. There's billions of phone numbers. They just move on to the next one.
Well, speaking of grown adult babies, Mallett, I have a trend that is a little disturbing. Okay.
Another trend that is
disturbing trend. Adult-sized pacifiers.
Get out
It
of
is
here.
becoming a trend among young people in Asia. And guess what? It is coming to the United States near you.
Oh, please say it's not.
They are using them as a way to cope with stress, ADHD, anxiety, insomnia, and as a tool to stop smoking. Psychologists say this behavior is part of a regression phenomenon that they are seeing, whose individuals seek comfort in objects associated with childhood. Using a pacifier can provide a sense of safety, familiarity, and an emotional sense of relief during high-stress situations. So stupid. Health experts warn that this habit can cause dental misalignment. I don't see where it says low-key bullying, because I'm a proponent of bullying. Bring that back. Jaw strain, damage to the mouth, soft tissue, risk of choking. I see that as a win-win. And breathing issues, especially during sleep. They also
It can change the shape of your teeth, right?
True. But they'll say there's a healthier way of stress relief. I think
it's called being an adult.
I think it's called being an adult. I think it's infantile. I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. And why don't they just drink or run like the rest of us?
Yeah. You know what? I'm sure now when I go home later and I get on Instagram, I will see some 21-year-old kid sucking on a damn pacifier. What the hell is wrong with the world?
These are actually adult.
$21 for your purple adult silicone flower pacifier.
Yeah, they are ranging.
They have one like a dinosaur.
They are ranging in price from $1.40 all the way up to $70 if you would like a bougie pacifier. I'm telling you, if I see someone walking,
if you have $70 to buy a pacifier, I think you can go get an hour of counseling for that. That's probably better suited for you. I
am just going to say I'm really glad that my camera stopped sharing because I have somehow logged on to oh my gosh. I have logged on to a website of adult.
That woman is wearing a diaper.
These are onesies and clothing.
For adults.
For adult. I didn't realize. I swear to goodness, I did not.
Adult ribbed bamboo onesie. Oh my God. Oh
I'm so glad that my camera stopped on our website because we'd be canceled. We'd be canceled.
I weep
you
for
know what,
humanity.
Mallet, you take it away. I don't know what your next story is, but
I'm going to get a little newsy here, a little more serious. So John Garrett, who's the CEO and founder of Community Impact, is going to come on. And in preparation for that, I did a little research about what I'm going to call the death of the newspaper. And you remember paper routes?
Yes.
So anybody younger than about 25 doesn't know this, but 30, 40 years ago, when you got a paper, a guy, more than likely it was a paper boy, but paper boy, paper girl, would ride by your house on their bicycle and throw the paper in the bushes up in front of your house, and you'd have to come out in the morning in your house shoes.
Oh, my dad would sit out there and wait. He would wait because our paper boy would throw it in the bushes and it would get wet or something, and my dad would go and he'd try to catch it.
But that's the way you used to get the news. You would either get your newspaper on your front porch or you would watch the news at 9 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock at night. And it would be 15 minutes of news and 15 minutes of commercials.
But you'd get two newspapers too.
Yeah.
We did when we were kids. We got the morning and the evening.
Well, in the 1990s, AOL came along. We just talked about that. And that started the slow decline of the newspaper because people could go online now. And then Craigslist came along, and because one of the main things that newspapers used to make money on is classifieds.
Yeah.
So if you were selling a car, the way we used to do it 30 years ago was you'd get a classified ad, or 40 years ago, you'd get a classified ad, 1972 Firebird red with a black interior for whatever, $1,500.
And then came the Craigslist killer.
Craigslist came along and killed all that. And then free online news and then digital ad revenue, started to become a thing where instead of somebody advertising in a newspaper, they said, oh, we'll give our money to Google or Facebook or whatever the thing of the day was. So, and then, 2016, the Austin Statesman went away. It used to be a huge part of Austin.
It didn't go away, though, did it?
It's an online platform. I don't think they deliver real papers anymore, but they used to down on Congress and Riverside. They had a huge facility. The papers used to be printed there. The paper boy would come throw them in the bushes in front of your house before that. And then so all these local newspapers started going away, and what that did was caused what they're calling news deserts, where no one was covering local news, which is, John's going to come in and talk about the community impact. But what ends up happening with that is because people aren't getting local news, they don't vote as much. They don't know about political corruption. They don't know about events going on in their neighborhood. So, or, construction going on. It's like, okay, what's the latest update on the
text dot?
Yeah, on the 290 construction.
Of the Dairy Queen. What's the latest update on the Dairy Queen?
But, you don't know. Okay, is this construction going to be 2 more years or is it going to be 10 more years? I don't know. Well, if there's no local newspapers, then people don't know that. So it's actually allowed for some newspapers to come back because of this civic engagement. So, and then other newspapers like the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, they've all gone to digital subscriptions where it's all online and you pay every month to get them. But these local newspapers are starting, the Community Impact is a great example of that. Where
I think it's the 20th year of the Community Impact this
I think
year
that's
as well.
right too. So
I used to really look forward to getting the newspaper on Sundays. It was always the biggest, fattest one.
Well, I
and
remember it was full of coupons and
lots
the
of
funnies
coupons,
and
and you'd give the kids the funnies or the comics, right? And they would do their little
I remember
family
sitting
circus.
around in the living room when I was a kid, and the paper would come in. My dad would read the news part. I'd read the funnies. My mom would read the classifieds, or whatever.
Your grandmother would read the obituaries just to see.
Right,
I thought my grandmother always did. That's
Bill
what they
Smith
read first.
died. He was 92. So one of the things that these local newspapers are doing to stay relative and be important in local communities, they have a deep local loyalty. So they're not trying to compete with the New York Times. They own their own local beat. They cover school boards, council meetings, high school sports, and community events that nobody else is doing. They have adapted to digital. So most of them have real papers, but they have paywalls, they have email newsletters, they do podcasts, social media, things like that. And they have strong ownership and a mission to improve the community. So they are actually part of the real community. So the result that's been, while a lot of newspapers have vanished, the ones that are thriving are leaner, digitally savvy, and deeply woven into the fabric of their communities. So
there's a couple of print things that I get that I will definitely either read or I will flip through, and it is the Outlook. I will do that.
Read the Outlook.
Community Impact, always for sure.
I always read that cover to cover.
Community. I don't read cover to cover. I read I don't know. I kind of pick and choose.
Yeah, there are sometimes. There's an
and
article.
then
I don't care about that.
The City Lifestyle magazine.
I
really
the
like
City
that one. It's
Lifestyle, yeah.
really fancy and glossy. But
there is still a reason to have print media out there, and local coverage is hard to come by. So, we're going to get John in here in a couple of minutes. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, do you have a Nook or a Kindle?
No, I read on my iPad. I still prefer a book.
I prefer a book.
That's
I really do.
Probably our age.
I like the feel of a book. I like to turn the pages.
Yeah,
I like.
You know what? If I could still get a paper newspaper, I would. I like reading my newspaper on digitally because there's some, you can click on a picture and expand it. If there's a word, like sometimes I'll read an op-ed and I'm like, I don't know what that word means, and I can look it up.
Do you read a book sometimes, or
yes,
you look at a picture and
you
you're
guys
trying
to expand it like you do on your phone. But I mean, it's great that companies like Community Impact are still out there improving our community and keeping people informed and doing it in a way that's not divisive or, really lopsided like some of the other newspaper type products are out there. So
I feel honored that he's come all the way down here to come visit with us
from South Dallas. Pflugerville.
It's probably going to take him 2 hours to get here.
That's
so we've had
true.
to stamp his passport or whatever.
Right.
But
we're going to take a little break and get John Garrett in here, the CEO and founder of Community Impact Newspaper.
Vodka-flavored vodka? How boring.
At Deep Eddy Vodka, we say, why stop there?
Our vodka is made with real fruit, handcrafted right here in Texas.
We've got bold cocktails, refreshing mocktails, food trailers on the weekends, and plenty of local events.
So come sip something with a little more soul than just plain vodka.
Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Live here, sip here.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room.
South Star Bank has remained true to its Texas roots for over 100 years. A commitment to the people and communities they serve, along with flexible financial solutions, allow their clients to shine. Mortgage loans, checking accounts, or complete business solutions. South Star Bank is your financial partner. South Star Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, built for Texas.
SouthStarBank.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. NMLS 410624. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This vibrant 55 and up community is located in Dripping Springs, just right outside of Austin. 1 and 2 bedroom homes, resort style amenities, and just steps away from shops and restaurants. Forget the yard work. This is your time to relax, make new friends, and enjoy the life you've dreamed of. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. Live JoviBelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
And we are back here with John Garrett, CEO and founder of Community Impact News. Welcome, John.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome to
have
the
you.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate you coming down.
We've been up to your plan up there and taken a tour, and we were on a panel that you guys put on, and it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, thanks for doing that.
Yeah. Tell us where you grew up and how you ended up in Austin.
I was born in Kansas City, youngest of 4, but we moved here when I was 5, and I just turned 50. So people can do the math.
50.
But so we've been here I've been here for most of my life. We grew up in Pflugerville, really North Austin, but we were in Pflugerville schools, and that's where I met my wife. We were just friends, but we both went to Sam Houston up in Huntsville for college, and we call this place home, and Pflugerville was much like Dripping Springs was, at the same time, and
One stoplight and a Dairy Queen.
That's exactly right. We had a Sonic. So
Sonic, that's
I think we had a
right.
Sonic before a Dairy Queen.
They took away our Dairy Queen. I'm really sad.
Yeah, and it's going to be a car wash.
Yeah.
What did you study in school and college?
Yeah, I studied radio television.
Did you really?
Yeah, and
okay.
it's the old joke, the television guy said, I had a face for radio. And then as your listeners could hear, the radio guy said you have a voice for the printed word. So I went to work at the Houston Chronicle from college.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So you've been in the newspaper business your whole professional life.
Yep.
And then you went to the Austin Business Journal.
That's right. Yep. We were in Houston for a few years, and I think a lot of people, and that was the glory years of the local paper. I mean, I'm so grateful for my time at the Houston Chronicle, and but Jennifer and I were both from here. We wanted to come back here, and I got to work at the Austin Business Journal for a few years before we started Community Impact.
So the newspaper business has changed a bunch in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So, and, you've seen what's happened with the Austin Statesman. And is the Houston Chronicle, is it still strong? Or is it?
It's good. Yeah. I mean, I think the best thing that happened to the Statesman here is that Hearst bought them recently.
Okay.
And you'll see a difference. Hearst is a much more, I think, concerned about the product than Gannett, who owned the Statesman.
Okay.
But the whole industry is like a mess.
Yeah.
And, everyone's like, well, because we're growing, we're adding a new paper up in Denton this fall. We've got plans for Bryan College Station in early spring. So we're still growing editions. And I think there's a lot of reasons for why we've been able to keep growing. But, I think that the idea that, we live in the information age, but no one knows what's happening in their own backyard
It's so
resonates.
True. So true. Yeah.
I read that when you started this in 2005, you started this in your home in Pflugerville with I guess she's now a retired, your journalism teacher from 8th grade. But the funny thing that I read was that you put something like $39,000 on your Southwest Airlines card.
That's
I want to
right.
know how many points you got out of that.
None, because it was a convenience check. You remember?
Oh,
they
no,
said those things,
yes.
you don't get any points for those.
Oh.
Yeah, the funny thing is, when we had the idea, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always felt it.
That was one of my questions for you. Did you always want to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, and God gave me the best wife in the world, because I would have these ideas, and she'd say, no, that's not a good idea. And she was always right. And but what's really cool is I really did want to be an entrepreneur by the time I turned 30. And that's when we started CI. And so we're hitting our 20th anniversary this year, and we're really excited about celebrating with the staff that event. But we always wanted to do it. And, I was at the Austin Business Journal. I had the idea. I sketched out the first edition. I showed it to Jennifer, and she was like, that's it. That's what we should be doing.
How did you pitch to advertisers? I'm sorry, Steve.
Well, before you go on to that, because I think that's important, but in this time when newspapers were, I read one place 2 a week in this country are going out of business. You came home with a business plan for a newspaper, and your wife was like, "Yes, that's the way to go." How did that? What was that all about?
Well, it was because even though we had these local papers back then, so we lived in Round Rock at the time. We actually started it when we were in Pflugerville, but the Round Rock Leader and the idea came about when we were actually in Round Rock, and they were building the toll roads, and we didn't know where they were going. I was working at downtown Austin on First and Congress, so I was driving. You remember old Mopac? It was brutal.
Yeah.
And all we wanted to know was when are those things going to be done, and how much are they going to cost? And what's wild is that most of the media here wasn't really covering that. They were covering, should we have toll roads? Remember that? Like they were debating, toll roads are they moral or not? Should cities be charging people to drive on the roads? And so it was a natural curiosity. And I'd been in the business at that point, almost 10 years. And I understood how the business worked. And I put a plan together. And I knew circulation back then. So this is 2005. Circulation for the major papers was starting to really go down. I knew how expensive it was to get one subscriber at the Austin Business Journal. Yeah. Back then it cost us about $175 to get one subscriber.
Ooh, wow.
Who would pay, $60 a year. So it took about 3 years, for that to work. So I thought, why don't we just mail it to everybody for free? And
that sounds like a great business plan. Let's just give it to them for free.
Let's give it to them for free. And so I don't know. I just put together, okay, well, how much would that cost? And, how much revenue we would have to get. And there was a lot of naivety, I think, but I just thought we could do it. And I showed it. There's one business owner in particular who I won't name because everyone would know his name. I went to him and I was like, "Hey, I got this idea. I want to start this paper." And he was like, "That is the worst idea I've ever heard."
That is stupid.
It was a really bad idea. And so luckily I didn't listen to him because, when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, like when you're trying to start something, you kind of want validation. At least I did. I kind of wanted people to be like, encouraging you along the way, but I didn't get that. Like I got
That's
the
not
exact
the way,
opposite.
That is not the way of the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur gets a lot of criticism, and they have to fight through that.
Yeah, a lot of resilience.
So back to pitching to your advertisers, you had just kind of a wing and a prayer and an idea.
Yeah.
And, you and a journalism, an 8th grade journalism teacher, and like, trust me, this is going to work.
Yeah.
So the first advertiser that decided to believe in you and jump, did you build off of that or?
Yeah, well, look, I don't know. I mean, I guess we did a lot of really smart things at the beginning that I don't think we knew were that smart. Okay, because I think when you start a business, you kind of have blinders on to what reality is. But what we did is we would go to the first people that we thought would be interested. We put together a marketing plan. We said, we're going to mail to 60,000 homes. Like, you're advertising in the Round Rock Leader, it goes to 7,000. The Statesman goes to 5,000. We're going to go to 60,000 and we're going to mail it. So we were pitching the value, even though it was a little bit more expensive dollar wise, the cost per household, that's kind of how we pitched it. And I think the thing that we did was really smart, was we said, okay, look, buy the first one for half price if you sign up for 12 months. And there were advertisers after we hit our 3-year or 5-year anniversary that said that they only bought the ad because they thought we wouldn't have a month too. So but they were stuck, and that allowed us to build. And I remember, so we started in September 2005. I remember I knew we hit it. We made it in January of 2006. When we crossed $50,000 in monthly revenue in that month. And I was like, okay, I think we made it. And I just remember the feeling of being outside and at this, condo in Pflugerville and just celebrating it personally, just personally celebrating that we had I thought we made it.
You went from the red to the black at that point, and it was like, okay, the sky's the limit from here.
Yeah, and that was key because we were ready to expand, and so we did. So we started Leander Cedar Park in April of 2006. So and then just about every 6 months we
So
started a new paper.
who were your first reporters? Was that you and Jennifer?
No, well, sort of. I mean, I don't really know how to write. I feel like I know what good content is, but like to put it together, I really respect the craft. And so yeah, we put a couple of we hired a couple of freelancers first. One of our first reporters, her name is Mandy. We gave her like a pseudonym, whatever they call them, where she basically wrote under another name, so we looked a little bit bigger than we were. So we had a couple of reporters, but we really didn't. It was really her. So yeah, we kind of just scrapped together.
That's
My parents
smart.
did some restaurant profiles. We kind of pieced it all together the best that we could on the editorial side. Where we really spent money, which was I think really was innovative, and I still believe our product is the best looking product in the country. Was design. Our first full-time employee was actually a designer. And I think that says a lot about like our, who we are as a company and the DNA, how important design and building maps and, what people really love about CI is our maps, and that started all the way at the beginning and it's true to this day.
What's been the biggest challenge that you had since 2005 getting this thing started and getting it to be successful?
I mean, there's 100 challenges. Like, where do you want to go? Like, we can talk about the
You only
pandemic.
had one Southwest
We can talk
Airlines
about
check.
yeah. No, I mean, the other smart thing we did at the beginning is we got prepayment from our advertisers, which was really
I
wasn't
paid up front.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't even smart enough to understand. So we had prepayment from our advertisers. We had to prepay the postage, but we got a printer to give us terms. So I kind of learned the cash flow game early. I wasn't like thinking that, but it really did cash flow because every month you get more and more cash in as your revenues grew and your costs would kind of stay the same. So you kind of built up cash. It was a really smart way to structure a business. So like, the early challenges that we had, I was just talking about this. Right now we're email newsletters are a big part of our business and we're migrating over to another email service provider. And we had a mistake. We sent out an email to everybody that shouldn't have gotten it. And I remember going to the team and I said, okay, look, when in October of 2005, which was month 2, we printed all the wrong addresses on the newspaper. And so we I got me and my 3 people that could help me. We went to the post office there in Round Rock and we resorted everything. And the post office was super nice. Like they were very, like, I don't think we'd get the same treatment today as we did back then. They were a lot more customer service friendly back then. And they took care of us. But I remember just telling them, I told them the story. I was like, look, I mean, email addresses and home addresses, kind of the same thing. Yeah. But just don't do it again. Like learn from it, fix it, don't do it again. And so we had a lot of those kind of hiccups. But most of our big challenges really didn't come. We had Hurricane Harvey was our biggest challenge that happened in Houston. That was a really tough time. And that's the first time before the pandemic I've really felt like, I don't know if Community Impact's going to make it. When Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, we had a pretty big number of papers there in Houston. And they're showing on the TV. I'll never forget this. They're showing on the TV, flooding people on, trying to on the rooftops. And I remember coming out of my bedroom and Jennifer, my wife, is watching this. And I remember saying, I think we might be done.
Ooh.
And Jennifer looks at me and she says, there are people on the top of the roof of their homes. Like, get your priorities right.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you're right. So, but we survived it. And in fact, it helped us to kind of like understand what our purpose is and make sure that we continue to do. And it certainly helped us through the pandemic.
You talked about always kind of wanting to be an entrepreneurial, but then there's wanting to be an entrepreneurial and then there's the business of running a business.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't know what you don't know. And what did you not know? Like what surprised you? You're like, holy heck, you mean I got to keep up with HR and have a handbook or offer insurance or
I think I don't know. I think I was also just fortunate. And when I was in college, I took a couple of accounting classes that I didn't even have to. And I'm grateful because like I kind of understood how this stuff worked. I think for me, the challenges, have been like So in November of 2005, I'm getting all this like PTSD.
Blast from the past.
We did, this is a good
Stephen Michelle therapy session. Would you like to lay down?
If you cry before the end, we have done it. We're successful.
Thinking about my wife's story kind of got me some tears in my eyes, but we basically made a mistake in one of our papers, and this company we printed something incorrectly, and there was libel insurance that you could buy, but at the time it was $3,000, and we had all we had is $39,000.
Yeah.
So to buy this, so I passed on the insurance, and I remember I had this mentor. His name's David Stein. He owns and operates the Roger Beasley Volvo dealerships. He is a undercover, incredible mentor and philanthropist, but he no one knows that about him, but he's a great guy. But he kind of encouraged me along the way and helped me. Like, he's kind of my mentor. And anyways, he had told me about this insurance. He's like, whatever you do, buy insurance, get a good accountant. That was his advice. And so randomly, this is the crazy story. On the Friday after all of that happened, this person was threatening to sue us. David shows up at our office, which is just weird because we're in Pflugerville, and I don't know if he's ever been in Pflugerville before. So he just randomly shows up that day. And he's walking through the office, and he's like, he could tell everybody was kind of upset. The mood wasn't really good. And he's just like, what the heck's going on here? It's Friday. People should never feel like this in your office on a Friday. And I was like, told him what happened. And he's like, well, did you buy that insurance? And I was like, no. He's like, well, let me ask you this question. How would you feel right now if you had bought the insurance? And I was like, I'd feel a lot more secure, And so anyways, it was a great business lesson. It turned out that they didn't sue us, and we didn't ever but I bought the insurance. But
I bought the insurance.
I did buy the insurance, but it still to this day hit me what he said, that your employees should never, ever enter a weekend feeling like this. So one of those really good lessons that you learn from somebody that's done it a long time that shared it with me. So yeah, I mean, we've gone through 3 months now, so I guess the challenges are like every month. We could probably talk about this.
Yeah.
And we could keep going, but yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah. It's obvious you put a lot of thought into hiring good people.
Yeah.
And you take good care of the people that you've hired. And as you've grown, I'm sure when you started, you probably interviewed everybody.
Yeah.
Now you've grown, you can't do that.
Right.
How do you keep the quality, and how do you keep the right people in these positions?
I think number one, you really we're a values-driven company, and it's who we are, it's how we operate, and I think what we're still learning actually as we've grown is during the interview process, you got to make sure that everyone understands who you are. Because if they don't really know who you are or what you're expecting of them, then and you hire them, that's where a lot of these things go wrong. But the other thing is that, birds of a feather do flock together.
Yeah. And
high quality A players, they want to be around other A players. And usually C players just can't last. They can't, because they kind of just become, seen.
Right.
And so for us, it's been a lot of, just, hey, do you have any really good friends that you would want to work here? Because we all have friends that were like, And that's kind of how we started to build it. And that just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're, we have about, between the printing facility and our markets around Texas, we have about 200 impactors now.
Oh, wow.
And
impactors,
we
that's
call
what
them
you
impactors.
call them.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Well, question I had for you is, what are you looking for in a reporter or a journalist? Are you looking for somebody that went to college, that has that kind of background, that kind of already has a base knowledge of it? Or are you looking at to kind of bring somebody up that has a great, I'm the personality hire here, let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the journalists, they have to be able to write, obviously.
Yeah.
That we've kind of done both. We've had people that have come from sometimes the marketing PR side, but most of them have journalism backgrounds or journalism degrees. And we're looking for people that can build relationships, that do care about the quality of their work. Values aligned. If you're a reporter that's looking to take down a city hall, it's not the good fit for CI, and there's other organizations that you could go join. Our filter is that we believe people want to feel good about where they live and work. That doesn't mean we don't cover bad things. We've covered some really hard things, but we do it through the filter of what are we doing about it? Like, what's the city doing about this problem? What's the school district doing about the problem? Not like pointing fingers.
Right.
And we've had a couple of stories over the years that kind of regret that are more pointy finger stories. And but that's how you learn. And, that's just not who we are.
Yeah. I noticed that you do stay away from the really thorny issues and the ones that are real, the big thing going on in the day that everybody's all upset about. But you never go into opinion. Yours are very factual, but this is what happened. This person said this thing happened. But in other journalism, I see a lot of blurring lines between what is opinion and what are news facts. How do you keep your staff focused on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think
shot caller, just like
I mean, listen, it's hard because everybody has a worldview.
Yeah,
and every newsroom, there's a group of people that have a worldview, and the reality that a lot of newsrooms and a lot of journalism programs around the country are not very progressive is you're just not being honest. But the reality for them a lot of times is they think that progressive thought is actually in the center. So that's I mean, they really do.
Yeah.
And so they anyway, so to answer your question, we honor everyone has a worldview.
Sure.
But here's what we teach. No one asked for community impact to show up in their mailbox. And if you don't have humility and curiosity about the fact that we're going to show up in somebody's mailbox, they're going to bring it into their home, and we try to assume like left or right that they are, that is a huge mistake.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's not being very kind to do that. So like we really try to teach to our newsroom that, hey, like we go to everyone, and we want everyone to want to understand the issue.
Yeah.
So make sure that if we're doing controversial issues, I mean, come on, like the vaccine debate, the masks in schools, like those things come up. Even taxes frustrate people. If you approach it that, hey, like, okay, this person that goes to this house might be more conservative. What voice do they need to hear on both sides, and the same for the other side. So we are different, and we drive a lot of journalism institutions crazy.
I bet
they don't respect what we do, but I don't care. I care about our readers, and I care about our impactors.
What I like, I've been getting the Wall Street Journal for 45 years. They still occasionally they get it wrong, but for the most part they do. They tell you the facts, and then I can form my own opinion based on that list of facts. Right. And that's what you guys do very well. A lot of other news media, you can read the first paragraph and go, here's their slant.
Yes.
They're proselytizing to me, but you guys have done a real good job keeping that separate.
Thanks. And it's advocacy journalism. We try to stay away from that, and there's a place for all of that, but not at CI, because again, no one asked us to send the paper to them. So it's just a different model, and we try to explain that to our team. For you personally, I know that you are a very faith-forward person. You've lived your life like that, and you kind of run your business in that sense. Is there a moment that has stood out to you where you're like, God definitely had a hand in this? I was just telling we had a new impact orientation on yesterday at CI. And I was just telling, I can tell story after story of like God's faithfulness, but like probably my favorite one is the printing plant, because we were printing papers everywhere. I mean, at Dallas, in Dallas, and the printer, we were growing, and we were spending at that time like close to, if I remember right, about $5 million a year in printing with them. And I was like, hey, and we'd grown from nothing, to I think at that time we had like 20 issues or something. And I was like, hey, I think we should get a discount, like some sort of volume discount after we've grown. And so they went back and they did the numbers, and they came back and they were like, actually, we're going to charge you more. And there were only two printers in the Southwest US that could do our job, because it's stitch trimmed. It's really a nice product, full color. Yeah. Like there's only certain presses that could do that. And it was them and the Statesman had a press here back. They don't anymore, obviously. And so we started doing the work of like, okay, well, what if we built our own? We had that land out there. Yeah. We had our headquarters, then we had another 2.5 acres. And so we're like, we could build a plant here. Let's do all the work. And we did all the work. We put the business plan together. And then we flew out to New York to look at these presses. These are brand new types of presses. The only one they had actually was in New York. And I remember praying. I was like, Lord, like I have no chance because this was like the whole project was like 13 million real estate plus equipment.
Wow.
So again, it's where God, I think, just puts blinders on me and so I was like, but I need you to show me like before I signed this contract. And so literally the day we were in New York, God did two amazing things, but literally the day we were in New York is the day that the statesman announced that they're shutting their plant down. The day I was there, like when I was asking God, like, show me. And for me, it was wisdom to understand that this wasn't like I was outsourcing my coffee. Mm-hmm. I had one other choice now so I can't outsource my product. Like I have to bring it in-house. That was like God kind of showing up in a big way there. But the craziest thing is that my timing gets a little bit off here as the years go by, but something like they laid everyone off. The statesman laid all their press people off in September of 2016. And we needed them to start, most of them start in April of 2017. And the statesman gave them 6 months severance. And it was exact timing.
Oh my gosh.
Only God could do that. Exact timing. These guys, and by the way, when we built the plant, we had no idea how important the people were that operate the machines. Mm-hmm. The equipment manufacturers, they bring these really shiny brochures and their employees are happy. There's like one employee on the machine. But it's truly, printing is an art.
You've had some people there with you long time. We met a couple of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
and
whole
just
time.
the concert of these people are going off shift and they're going on shift and just the way it
laying out the papers and the folding and the cutting and the stacking and the sorting and
it's crazy manufacturing, but the art of the actual printing press is was the most valuable to us. And so they got 6 months severance and they started right on time, when we needed them. So the timing was incredible.
When you made that transition to owning your own equipment, how much did your costs go down versus getting it printed in Dallas?
Yeah, it was one of those things where you're looking for validation. And I had a friend that was very wise, and he said, "Hey, you need to tell your printer that you're doing this." His name was Brian, and he basically said, I was scared, but obviously if we're going to greenfield a printing plant, they're going to see it or they're going to know it. And so I was honest with them, and so they flew. They were, of course, they didn't want to lose the business. They came down, and I showed them our whole business plan to the cost of ink and paper and all that stuff. And he's like, "Oh no, you're way off. When I pencil it, you're going to lose $1.5 million every year." And we don't know. Like we're trying our best. We've never done manufacturing before, but we had a printer that was in Houston that was helping us with the math, and we just felt like, okay, we believe in the math. And so anyways, the printing company is technically a separate company, and just crazy how things work like this. But we actually print like all the Texas business journals now. So Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. So we have other business that we print. And so it's a profitable company on its own. And when you had things like the paper shortage in the pandemic, when you have it, we kind of have our own, in-sourced but separate company. You're allowed to like have some flexibility around pricing and help, kind of help both businesses out. So yeah, it's been a very good investment for us, but more importantly, operationally. I mean, we have 40 editions now around Texas that are going out like all month long, and I don't think we could do it at another printer.
That's amazing. Yeah, the leap of faith you have to borrow $13 million to start this plant, especially when somebody that owns something similar says, "Nah, it's not going to work."
Exactly.
It must be really hard.
Well, you're this CEO, founder. You've always kind of had this dream. What would your childhood friends say about little Johnny? Who would they say he was?
Childhood friends, they would say, there's a little bit of gremlin in John.
Don't feed him after midnight.
Yeah, he gets a little crazy.
Don't put water on him.
Yeah, don't bring any of those friends on board here. I don't think.
Hold on, we have one called in right now.
Ouch. It's all true. I'll just admit it right now. So I think that I don't think that most of them are surprised. I was always a debater, so I think that actually really helps with our tone of content, what we talked about earlier. Because you had to debate both sides. So I can clearly see like how, each side has like a reasonable, argument, and just giving, honor to that, I think is helpful. So I don't think that any of them are surprised at where I'm at. I think I don't know. I don't know what they would say. You can also ask my wife because she'll have some really good insight. She's known me since I was.
She's going to come on next.
Yeah,
She's
that's
waiting
right.
out in the
That's
lobby.
right.
John, I want to ask you about AI. So there's been a lot of talk AI doing away, writers and probably journalists.
M
and
dash.
Yes.
M dash.
Yeah. Have you? How's that impacted what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I'm on it. Like I noticed I was around some entrepreneurs that were like creating agents. So like I said, I'm gonna learn this stuff. So I got in there. I've created my own agents in AI. I just didn't want to be the guy that's like listening to all the AI companies tell me what's going to happen. I felt like I needed to understand how AI worked myself. And today what I would tell you is I personally think it's a huge bubble. In that the quality that I'm seeing now, we were supposed to get intelligence, right? Like, but actually ChatGPT in my own use cases has gotten worse.
Yeah, I agree.
I used to love it for like writing, like it would help me like put my thoughts together and you plug some stuff in there. Hey, write me. But now you can like tell that it's AI. So that I feel like the responses have gotten worse. And the latest data that's coming out is that 33% of the time it's actually wrong.
Yeah, I found a lot of stuff that's
if you
wrong.
just play around with yourself, you're like, and you give it a little grace because like it does so many other things really well. But so I don't know. We've plugged in our own databases, asked it to analyze data, and it's gotten it wrong. And it's made up like we're in markets in Arkansas. Like it's like weird. It's all that hallucination stuff. So I think right now the way I view AI is I really do hope it will help us, create some efficiencies in our organization. We certainly use it for headline optimizations or those kinds of things. In terms of like people replacement, maybe it'll get smarter and be able to trust it to be doing some accounting functions or some other things. But in terms of the business model, I just have always viewed in my own use as like searching for answers versus Google or whatever.
You got to be skeptical.
Well, not only do you have to, you definitely have to be even more skeptical than even Google. But my friend, my brother-in-law actually lives here in Dripping Springs, and he before they bought the house here, he was living in Southwest Austin, and he put it like this: he's like, I didn't understand like why I would want community impact until it showed up to my door, because I wouldn't even know to Google what you're sending me. And I think it's going to be similar for us with news and information. If we can keep our distribution, which is a big challenge. I mean, postage, we just got a huge increase in July. Postage is continuing to rise. But if we can keep our own distribution and we have relevant content that people care about, I think we're going to be fine. Yeah. Because you don't know to AI something or you don't know how to Google something sometimes about what's going on around you. You kind of need somebody to push it to you.
It's sort of garbage in, garbage out kind of thing. The .com bust in 2001. I remember my father-in-law then was saying that, all these, remember the startups were everywhere. This company, they got a $5 million infusion and they're .com. And he said, all those companies are going to go away and it's going to go down to 4 or 5 companies. And, it ended up being Amazon and Google and Oracle, the 4 or 5 companies that have existed. I think that's what's going to happen with AI. Yeah. We got all these players out there right now and it's going to come down to maybe 2 or 3. And that's what's going to go forward. And all the rest of them are going to go away.
There is a lot of noise out there right now. I saw a quote where you said community impact over corporate profit. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Well, we're rare in our industry. We're privately owned. And so Jennifer and I are the only shareholders. We don't have any outside investors. And thankfully, Southwest Airlines was paid back. Yeah. And I'm grateful for that because I think what it means is that we get to put our people first. We get to put our profit second. We get to put our purpose first. But to be a healthy business, I mean, we want to build a 100-year company and you have to have profits. Like you cannot pay your people, you cannot innovate, you cannot grow, you have to have profits. So, for us, it's that balance. How do we have a fair, healthy, profitable company with making sure that our people know that they're really cared for? Yeah. And so that's kind of where I put it. And if you look at, the news organizations in Texas, the mom and pop type news publications were one of the few left.
Didn't you say something refrigerator journalism? Journalism.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah,
But that's so true, especially being here in Dripping Springs. We're kind of in this like void of stuff, and it's probably why we have a lot of the listeners that we do locally here in Dripping because people will say, "Oh, well, I didn't
no
even
idea.
know that. I had no idea."
We're following the same model you do,
Yeah.
which is we specialize on a small market and we get very involved in it, and we have all different sides, and everybody can come in here and they're all welcome, and so we open it up. Do you ever, talking about your employees, you obviously value your employees. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and go, "Oh my God, I got 200 people depending on me to pay their rent and their mortgage," and that's a lot. It's a lot of pressure, and I don't think sometimes employees realize that. How do you deal with that?
You know, I try not to think of that.
Can you give somebody at the table here tips?
Yeah. You know, as you mentioned, Michelle, I you know, my faith's a big part of who I am, and one of the things that I've never really understood from, I actually have a lot of empathy and curiosity around entrepreneurs who aren't Christian, because there's the old saying that it's lonely at the top. And I really believe this with all my heart. I mean, even Jennifer, you know, my wife, like, I can go to her obviously with everything, but I don't, because there's a lot of stuff I just don't want her to worry about or whatever. But I have found, as a follower of Christ, like, if you know Jesus, it's never lonely at the top. And that seriously has sustained me through some really hard times and unknowns and confusing times. You know, you lose a really great employee. We've lost a couple of really great impactors in the last couple of years, and you're just like confused. Now, I think that they made the right choice for them and all that kind of stuff. But you kind of feel like, oh, wow, like we've been doing this together for so long, and then now you're gone, and like, oh, okay, like, you know, it's hard.
Yeah.
But it's less hard because of my relationship with Christ. So that's kind of how I mean, if I get to the stress point of like thinking about the other thing, I want to just say that has been really helpful to me. So Jennifer and I have been married for 26 years. We've never done counseling before, ever. And we started like a few months ago. And we started because we had like a little bit of a thing that was always a thing in our marriage.
Yeah.
I won't go into it because she's not here to defend herself. But anyways, we go to this counselor, and he like showed us this like feelings wheel. Have you ever seen these things?
I haven't.
It's got all the feelings, like, you know, anger and happiness and all this stuff. But then it's like the feelings behind the feelings. And what has been so powerful for me because of this little bit of counseling I've done, and I'd really encourage everyone to do it. But so like when I think people thought I was angry about something. I wasn't angry. I was actually fearful. Because I was worried or something.
Right.
But
it comes across as anger.
Yeah. And so if Jennifer thought I was angry at her, how she responds is way different than if she understands that I'm actually scared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyways, for me, that has been incredibly helpful. Every time I have a fear, like you brought up, how do you pay for all, right? I think through, okay, what am I actually feeling like? And then that allows you to communicate it better. And, you know, are we sure we're going to make payroll this month? You know,
Maybe we need to go to podcast therapy, Steve.
This feels good. This feels good.
By the way, we're out of money, and after this show, we're done.
I need that feelings wheel that
you
you're
got it.
talking
I'll share
about.
it with you.
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah. She would bang me over the head with it. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a staff as big as yours, but I do sometimes, you know, you have to keep the business going, and sometimes it gets really hard, and you go, God, you know, people are depending on me, and you know, I got to show up and get things done and make things happen. If it's not working, what do we got to do to figure it out? So.
We've talked about this in the past, though, too, Steve and I, is that, you know, through working with each other, we've had a lot of growing pains, and we've really kind of sat down and said, okay, this is what's working for me, and this is not what's working for me, and vice versa. And in the starting of the podcast, I was never one to take constructive criticism without getting my feelings hurt. And I think he was the same kind of person. And now we're just trying to make each other better on what we do. And so if he says, hey, you know, last time you interviewed, you were saying a lot of ums or whatever. Or if I'm like, I can hear you breathing, Mallett. Like, I'm going to
stop drinking.
Yeah, stop drinking. But it's like, I'm taking it to heart because I know he cares about me, and I know we care about this craft together. So it's nice to have somebody on your side, you know, and you just want to.
It isn't just being critical to be critical.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, you know, what you do as an entrepreneur and the pressure that you feel to take care is amazing. And I think that's the heart of CI. Like we love local businesses. We want we respect them so much. And I tell my team all the time, you walk in a place and they put everything on the line. They may have cashed their 401k from work, whatever. And they open up
their
this
Southwest
restaurant.
Airlines check.
Yes. And I just want you to treat them like that, because what I'll tell you is even as we've scaled, the pressures have not really gotten more.
Yeah.
They're different.
They're different, right?
But like, I know what it feels like to have 5 people and you're looking at your revenue and you're like, I don't know if it's going to like stay there. And they've quit jobs to come work for me, and so I know exactly how that feels. And I just want to, encourage any of your listeners that are doing that just to take a second and just understand that it's a good pressure. It's because you're a steward. It's because you care about people. You care about your community. You want to make this thing amazing, and it's a beautiful thing. And don't let the pressure rob the joy.
I agree.
Are you not learning that now with real estate, that you feel like people are in panic mode and looking
but
at
also sometimes when you talked about it when you had that point where you went from red to black, you everything was on the line.
Yeah.
And then when you got to black, you went, we did something here. That's awesome. And that feeling you get. And if you just go to a 9-to-5 job where you're just clocking in, clocking out, you don't care about it, you never get to feel that. And I think that you've been robbed of something on some certain level. It feels really good when you put everything in and then you have some success. It feels really good.
It's hard because what robs us is, so like on that feelings wheel I've been studying joy a lot. Well, with what light leads to, so it's happy. Then between happy and joy is content. Being content. I joke with my team. I said it's content. Little dad joke, but it probably doesn't play as well in this. But it didn't play actually well with them either. But
That's why it's a dad joke.
But I didn't realize how important contentment was to get to joy.
Yeah.
And so that's what you mentioned in January 2006. What I was not making a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I had this like sense of contentment that like, wow, like I did something really great. I'm just going to have joy in it and not let fear and all the stuff that was coming down the road get in the way of that and rob the joy.
Right. But the other part of that is you have to realize at that point that it's good or bad. It's fleeting. Another challenge comes and you get stuck in it and you're down in the trenches doing it, and then you come out of that and you're like, oh, it worked. Okay. And so it's up and down. When you're an entrepreneur, you have there are sometimes I'm sitting at home at my breakfast table going, I don't want to go do this again today. Yeah. And then there are some days like, I'm going in at 6:30, So, but it goes up and down, doesn't it?
What do we say? We want to sell pencils by the beach.
Yeah, that's our thing.
That's our goal.
When we're having a really rough day, we're like, we're going to go sell pencils on the beach because that sounds more fun.
That's all we're going to do.
But then you get hit with a tariff on pencils.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, it's always something. There's a great quote from a friend of mine that says it so beautifully. It doesn't matter what business you're in. The quote was, every business is a loosely functioning disaster.
I love that.
That sometimes makes money.
Yeah, I just
love that because it makes you feel better. Every business is come to join me at CI. You'll see. It's a loosely functioning disaster that sometimes makes money.
I love that.
It's controlled chaos. Yeah. What? I know that your daughters, you're looking at getting your daughters involved in this. What is your prayer for the future of CI right now?
Yeah, I think we would love for it to be multi-generational. Like we're thinking 100 years, as we think about decisions. And I have 2 daughters that are super interested. I think my senior at Texas is studying journalism. I think she wants to get in the business. But we want her to maybe go work somewhere else for a few years. And then Ruby's at Arkansas. She's, I call her our rainmaker one day. But I don't know if she wants to be in the business. She's mentioned being in real estate. Yeah. But we'll see what she does.
Have her call me.
Talk with us.
She's the rainmaker for sure. And then Sophie's she's a senior at McNeil, and she is the editor of the newspaper up there, which we get to print, which is really kind of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
But we'd love to have a multi-family, multi-generational business, but we're also like not pressuring anybody. And
it's got to be their own journey.
It totally does. And I think what's fun for them is, growing up in the business, they've seen some things that are really unique about CI. I mean, we have just a really beloved brand. It's hard to explain, but like one particular example I like to share, if it's okay, is I was picking up my daughter from school, and I had 2 of my daughters in the back seat of my car, and I was wearing a Community Impact, pullover.
Polo.
And this woman pulls in right next to me, and this other lady comes in. There was some kind of road rage happening, and one lady was talking to this lady who parked next to me, and she was berating her. Anyways, she stops berating her. I unroll the window, and I was like, "Hey, don't worry about it. Don't let it bother you. She's maybe just having a bad day. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. Like, just move on." Well, that lady who was yelling at her saw me yelling at her, and she comes around to my windshield, and she's pointing at me like, "What did you say? What do you?" And then she saw my logo, and she just stopped, and she said, "Do you work at Community Impact?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I just love that paper." And my kids have seen stories.
Yeah.
I'll be at HEB with people just stop me. "Do you work there? I really like that paper." So I think that they're teachers. Like they like Community Impact. So I think that they've been raised with, they understand the brand's kind of like beloved.
Yeah.
And I think that might help me, when they're looking for a job. But
To gaslight them to come
You
work
have-
for you.
Yeah. I staged all of those things.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was like,
You
cute.
you have really built something great, because I get it in the mailbox, and when I open up my box, I see it like, oh, great, and I put it on the dining table, and I read every one cover
Thanks.
to cover.
Thank you.
We just used a Thundercloud coupon
By
the other
far
night.
our most popular advertiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, they buy them in specs. I think what's cool is about the brand is like no one knows that, like, if you live in Katy, Texas, you don't know that Frisco, Texas gets their own Community Impact and Round Rock. But when you move and you show up to, with the Woodlands, and there's a Community Impact that shows up, they're all the same. You kind of know what to do with it, and it's been really cool to build that around Texas.
It was really cool when we were doing the tour of the printing area, and they said, well, we print a lot of these other advertisements for other people, and they picked one up, and it looked at it, and it said Zuba River Camp. And that is my daughter's in-laws.
Isn't that funny?
It was just like happened. It was the first right on there. I was like,
What a
that's our
coincidence.
family. We know that. It was just so weird.
It's really cool. It's really neat what we've been able to do and who we've been able to help.
Yeah.
I love it.
How do you keep that relationship with the advertisers so strong? Because you've got some people or companies have been with you for a long,
Since the very beginning.
Yeah. How do you keep it? How do you keep that going?
Well, I think quality of product, number one. I mean, you gotta, especially in our industry, like you got no chance, but quality product, and then just demonstrating care and customer service. Like we do a business profile, which isn't paid, right? When our editorial team does a business profile on somebody, our sales team brings them out a free plaque or frame.
Oh, that's cool.
That says, "Hey, just thank you." So I think just our values, again, just the people we hire, they want to work for a company that actually cares about other people, that it's not just about money. It's they want to work for a greater purpose. And I think that we get to do that at the community level.
Yeah. A lot of when we did that forum up there, a lot of your employees are very young, just fresh out of college. Do you find that generation gets a bad rap? Do you find that those kids are easier to work with or harder, or what's the difference between somebody that's a little older?
Man, my older staff would love that you said that about them, because we're kind of like, I don't know what I need to check out. Yeah, but I think every generation is always like, what are they doing? I think I'm old enough now that there's really 2 generations now below us that are starting to come through. In fact, we just hired somebody that's was born 2 years before we started the company. We're like, wow. But I think that the best thing that the younger generation has taught us is one huge thing that they've done is they've destigmatized mental health, trying to get the stuff I'm talking about, with count, they've totally have made that normal, and I love that about them. The interesting thing I think that's happening with the kids, the generation that's coming out of college, I think they're going to take over the world.
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
I mean, they're bright. We've hired some interns that are in that group, and they're like
the Gen Zers.
I think they're beyond Gen Z.
Are they alpha?
Whatever the next one is.
Yeah.
Do we go back to alpha?
I guess
don't know.
we do.
But yeah, whoever they are, they're just different, and they seem so far incredibly bright, but also let's do it, motivated.
It seems like they're almost looking at the world from a different perspective than the rest of us. They have I haven't wrapped my head around it yet, but you're right. There are some very bright bright kids
It's
possess
fun.
their kids. Being around them is really neat.
And I think what's different about what we have to do is in our generation is we have to let them.
Yeah.
Like we have to let them go.
Rather than squashing them into the box, you got to give them some leeway to change
Go
things.
fail.
Yeah.
Well, that's a question I had for you is if your daughters take over the business one day, what is one thing that you would say, this is you cannot change this thing?
No editorializing. Let me see one. If I see one editorial,
I'm coming up from the grave. I'm going to haunt you.
I'm done. I can't do it.
That's the keystone of your business is because you open it up, you just get the news, you just get the facts. That's what you want. Yeah. And it's not tainted one way or the other.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I might have seen it in Texas Monthly. You had a sabbatical.
Yeah.
So did you need that? Was that a mental health sabbatical?
I feel like we all need that.
Yes,
don't you
I
need
do.
a sabbatical right now?
Yes. Yes.
I took a sabbatical, and I did a mission trip. I that's a big part of like who I think I want to be one day is doing more on mission stuff. But I also just kind of got away to think, and also the best thing is I gave my team room for them to breathe, and it's really nice for them to just operate without us doing this. Here, you got to do this, you got to do this. So they got to operate and they got to breathe. So it was an incredibly valuable time to me. I want to take one every year. And I have friends that get to do that. I can't do that right now, but I have friends that get to do that. And I really think it's smart, if you have a good team.
It's good for you and it is good for your team.
Yeah.
We did a 2-week backpacking trip down the Oregon coast, and
Awesome.
Michelle held down the fort, and
everything was fine, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't burn the place down.
Usually when I leave, it's better.
Yeah.
Sales go up.
Yes. There was a disco ball hanging in the office
right. I
and some
just
empty
do
beer
everything.
cans and stuff, but I just overlooked it. It was fine.
Yeah, it was
Deep
fine.
Betty's our sponsor, so if that tells you
Thank you,
anything.
Deep Betty. Thank you.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Did you want to do your
I
rapid
do. I have
fires?
a couple of rapid fire. This one is very important.
Okay.
Are you Michael or Jim in the office?
Definitely Michael Scott.
You're Michael Scott.
I think I'm Jim, but I'm Michael Scott.
You're Michael Scott. For sure. If you weren't running CI, what would you be doing?
Or would you want to be doing?
Or what would you want to be doing?
I mean, I think right now I would tell you that I would want to be like doing some sort of mission work, like not for pay, right? Just to go do it. If I could just do anything, there's a, global outreach pastor, for example, at our church that we go to, and I'm like, man, he's got the best job because he's just going to check on missionaries and lead teams and stuff. I think that would be really fun.
You're kind of doing missionary work,
Yeah, you
mission
kinda
work
are.
already because
On paper.
you are providing a service to your community. I did some research, and when people get information like you provide, they vote more.
Yeah.
There's less political corruption. There's all kinds of benefits to having this ultra local news. So
Thank you.
you're providing a great
You're
service
doing
to the
it.
community.
You're definitely doing it. Out of all of the headlines that you've had, does one stand out as your favorite newspaper headline that you've ever published?
Yeah, my favorite one we did was how Dell changed Round Rock.
Oh,
And it was a really well-written piece. I think Dell was hitting a certain amount of years. And that whole story, that whole economic development story was just like amazing that they took him from Austin. Dell was in Austin. Round Rock stole him basically. And it totally changed that city. And I just liked it because it was like so who we want to be as a news organization. We want to tell those stories, and we want to do it with data. We talked about the sales tax and all this stuff, the funding of the roads and how it impacted in a big way.
And it had
So
all of it.
it had all
in
of
there.
it, graphics, maps. It's been my favorite. We've had a lot of really great stories beyond that. I hope my editorial team's not mad at me, but we've had a really good run of good stories. But that's my favorite.
That was one of your favorites.
if you hadn't told that story, it might not have ever been told. I mean,
Yeah.
you drive by there, you see that huge campus,
Yeah.
but you don't know the economic impact.
Right.
Part of the documentary. What do you hope your legacy will be one day in this industry? Not necessarily personally, but in this industry, the impact that you have made personally.
What's really funny, I'm getting calls now from big news organizations that are asking us about our model. And most of the time they've kind of patted us on the head. I could tell you story after story after story of people in our industry that patted us on the head, looked down on us or whatever. And now I think I've always had this heart to like share because I wanted to help, because I believe what we're doing is important. And I believe that I want the Statesman to be very, very healthy. It's, I think it's the tide lifts all boats. And, but they've just been like, so now it's changing, and they're I'm speaking at events. They're asking me to help do these kind of one-off phone calls, which I'm grateful for. So I would like the legacy to be that what matters the most is what product you're putting forward for your readers. And if you do a good job of putting the right product together, then you will get advertisers. If you build your whole business around what you think the industry wants, or we are like the worst industry chasing trends. Yeah. We're the worst. And that's what they do. They all go to the same conferences and they all get sold the same bill of goods.
Echo chamber.
It's like, oh, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. And I'm like, if you just put the product first, put the product first, that's the way you got to start. And I hope that's our product is really, really good. It is. And if there's something I could do for the industry, it would be like I think the Statesman is getting better at their product. I really do. But help these like large dailies and others that are so important to the communities we serve, the resources they do, I would love to be able to. That's a great lesson just in general for whatever you decide to do in your life. Just put forth a good product. Just do the best you can every day, and other good things will come from it. It will. It's the hardest lesson to learn, but it's 100% right. Yeah,
and I don't know if this has been said about you and what you and Jennifer have built, but you really have put the impact in all of our communities. And we are really excited that we got to sit down and break bread with you and introduce you to our community face to face and here to Dripping Springs. Thank you so much. You're really a mentor in a sense for us as well.
Well, y'all keep doing it, because together, like I said, it makes Dripping Springs better. Like if we have a great Dripping Springs paper and you continue to do what you're doing for your community here, I've heard it. You bring in when the important issues happen, you're talking to the mayor. Those are the things that like make communities great. And so thank you guys for what y'all are doing too. And congrats on this is like 1,000 episodes. Thank you, John. Now, like 180 or something. What is it? You're 191. 191.
Look at you.
Amazing. Yeah. Congratulations,
guys.
It's
been really fun, and I love listening to the lessons that you've learned. It's a lot of the same things we've gone through as a business, but now that I know you, I've met you, and when the newspaper comes, I'm going to feel even better about it. John's paper's here. So it's been really great. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, you guys reach out anytime.
Thanks, John.
If we would just get together for lunch or coffee, let's do it.
I would love to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This thoughtfully designed 55-plus community is paired with resort-style amenities and social activities. They offer 1- and 2-bedroom homes located in Dripping Springs, the gateway to the Hill Country. Make friends, make memories, make time for you at Jovi Belterra. Live JoviBelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
From rodeo clowns, teachers or doctors, and everyone in between, Texans have one thing in common: hard work deserves smart banking. At Southstar Bank, whether you're buying your first home, building a dream ranch, or just managing daily finances, our 16 branches across Central Texas are here for you. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, and built for Texas. SouthstarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624. Your weekend doesn't really start till you're with Deep Eddy Vodka.
The tasting room in Dripping Springs, where the Hill Country gathers.
Sip real fruit vodka, handcrafted cocktails, or a mocktail if you're keeping it light.
Food trailers on the weekends, a family-friendly vibe, and you've got your new favorite hangout. Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Sip local, sip real in Dripping Springs.
Follow Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room on Facebook and Instagram for what's pouring and what's happening.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at mallettandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.